Hello. Welcome to Pharmaceutical Soccer. We are so happy that you are here with us. Nashville SC finally back after international break. We have so much soccer to talk about. Of course, I am here with Valer Shabila and oh wait, no, just Valer Shabila. There's no third person here at the current moment. 2 weeks in a
I,
row.
I should have sent you the link for the show separately so he doesn't infiltrate this recording just like he infiltrated the last recording.
Yes, which absolutely he's potentially going to do, and it's going to be at an extremely strange time where we have to, halt everything. But
Of course, we're talking about Ronan, who is the third member of this podcast. No, we're talking about Clay, unfortunately, Clay Trainum, who's the third member of this podcast. So if this is your first episode listening to this, which would be wild if this is your first episode,
I
but
mean, if
welcome, first and foremost. There's more than two people usually, but for today, for right now, for you to be with us, you are the third. So welcome in.
Does it make it wild to you? Like every single time that we record, I always just look up at the number of is it always wild to you to see that number of episodes that we've actually recorded? Like this is our 276th episode.
Yeah, I didn't think we were gonna last that long.
I mean,
Let's be honest. You start something like I was fresh out of college. Not fresh.
I was gonna say, look,
I was like a year or
let's
two out of
calm down.
college. I was still young. Is my point. I was still young. The team was in USL. I don't know. Things were different back then. But nonetheless, we are here, and if you can't tell, we are stalling a little bit because there's only one thing to talk about, and that is the Club World Cup, the biggest competition in the world. No, you know what? Let me give a weekend update before we jump into soccer.
Yes, tell me about your weekend.
There is soccer coming, I promise you. My weekend, I watch a lot of soccer during my weekend. What else did I do? This is a very, very putting me on the spot type of thing. I don't think I did much, honestly. I think
Putting you on the spot, like we don't do this same thing every single week.
I don't remember. You ever like get asked like what's your favorite like artist, and then you like forget all the artists in the world? What did you do this weekend?
Me, I did nothing. So I literally did nothing because I had a work conference in Orlando this week, which took a lot out of me. Obviously, the episode last week was a little bit crazy. So I got back from that and I did nothing. But first, before we get into that, hello everybody. Welcome to Flare It Out with Stephen Robinson. This is
Oh, let's
another
go.
Flare It Out episode. There is a lot of stupid cities in the United States of America. Orlando is absolutely the worst place in existence. Like, I will put it up there with spots in Ohio of being that bad. One, it is the worst airport imaginable. It's not even fun people watching. It's just like you hate your specific life. So, for example, I saw a lady in a wheelchair being pushed around by her kid, where this woman was wearing a shirt that says size matters, and it was just different bullets sizes and calibers and size matter being pushed around by her 8-year-old in a wheelchair. Like, just shenanigans like that. Two, if I want to go anywhere, I had to, like, if I want to Uber 0.5 mile, I have to Uber. I can't walk, or else I turn into a sweaty mess. And, like, I can't do anything. I had to Uber 0.5. I've never felt like such a garbage human in my entire life. The traffic is terrible. Obviously, Orlando City sucks. Everything about Orlando is just a stupid dumpster fire. Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't even get wanting to go to the amusement parks there, because why do you want to go through that? I don't get it. It's
But it's
fine.
the happiest place on earth.
No, I mean, the amusement park might be, but like the city itself,
That's why they created it, so
it's
people
in
can escape
hell.
the hell of the city of Orlando.
It's just absurd. Like, are there pockets of Orlando? Sure, maybe. But it doesn't make sense to me as just a city as a whole. It's like, cool, well, at least there's a beach. No, there's not. It's in the middle of the stupid state.
Hey man, I've been there for 3 days, and it was average. I didn't think much of it either way, but I appreciate what you said here.
Did they
Well,
give
moving
them? Do
on.
they have a World Cup game? Did Orlando get one, or is it
Club
Miami that
World
got it?
Cup. Yeah, they have Club World Cup, I'm pretty sure. Um, I watched the
Anyways,
movie Sinners. That's what I did. I
oh,
forgot about that.
fantastic,
That was a good movie.
fantastic film.
That's a good movie. But let's go into soccer because there's a lot of soccer going on this summer, and a lot more than I would like, to be honest. Like, I wish it was a little bit less soccer. This happened last summer too, where it was like Copa America and the Euros and MLS, and it was just like all on going on at the same time. This time around, we obviously had MLS going, which we will talk about more in the second segment about Nashville SC's win away from home in Chicago. But also, there's the Gold Cup going on and the Club World Cup. So let's talk about the USMNT. Did you watch that game?
What, against Trinidad?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, I watched most of it. Looked pretty
I've
good.
gotten to the point. Here's what I've gotten to the point with UN's men's national team, and like I know this is not a good outlook because like I want to be better about rooting for them, and I will. But here's the thing, especially against Trinidad and Tobago, Gold Cup at home specifically, it's either A, you should do the job that you need to do, so I don't need to watch. So it's like, cool. Like, I'm not more happy that we beat Trinidad. Like, it's great. We won. Congratulations. Or we lose, and I'm a depressed mess for having watched it. So at that point, I just don't watch it. It reminds me of the quote from Vince Vaughn during Dodgeball. Like, there's no point in trying because then you don't have to worry about quitting. I'm
Mm.
saying that whatever that I should
Well,
have that ready.
I mean, it seems like a lot of United States people living in the United States agree with your take, judging based on the empty seats at PayPal Stadium or PayPal Park or whatever it's called, because it's a 20,000 or 18,000 seater that looked fairly empty actually. So
Right.
yeah, not great when it comes to attendance, but great in terms of results. And maybe that's what they need. I asked Mauricio Pochettino specifically about the attendance, and he said he wasn't worried. So look, just take him for his word. He'll bring the fans back in by beating Haiti, or which look who Haiti looked pretty good against Saudi Arabia, which is a weird thing to say for a Gold Cup, but Saudi Arabia is the invited team. Anyway, head to 615soccer.com for more USMNT coverage. I think the other big competition going on, unless you have something more on the Gold Cup, Steven.
I mean, no.
Yeah, I think we should talk. I think that's about enough for the first four games of the Gold Cup on the
I
show.
I
Um,
don't know. Like, is it? There's just nothing sexy about it to me. Like, it used to be. Like for me, it used to be the actual. I would be locked down and pay attention. I don't know what it is this time, where it's just not the same thing to me. I think it just might be international soccer for me as a whole at the current moment. Um, but yeah, there's not a ton to talk about.
Yeah, I also think it's a little overdone now. Like there's just too much soccer, and that's kind of what I was going into. Of like, I've enjoyed some of the Club World Cup games that I've watched. A couple of them have been really nice. A couple of them have been awful, like the 10-0 Bayern Munich to Auckland City. Is it Auckland City or Auckland FC? There are two of them.
Auckland City.
Auckland City, yeah, because Auckland FC plays in the A League and they are actually a pretty good team. However, they have to qualify through Asia, so they didn't qualify for this. It's a little loophole, kind of like how Canadian Premier League teams qualify for the Champions Cup, and while Toronto and Vancouver and Montreal are kind of stuck with the MLS qualification. All that said, Club World Cup, we talked about a little bit last episode about how like it's a nice slow tournament that maybe got a bad rep. FIFA kind of bring this to themselves, honestly. When I look at
Yeah,
them scheduling a noon game at Pasadena between Atletico and PSG, stuff like that. That's just kind of like, why are we going through this in this way? Also, I just firmly believe that if this tournament was 16 or 24 teams, it would be incredibly a better product, and I'll be way more into it.
well, yeah, and I mean, I don't necessarily understand how FIFA. Maybe they're using this Club World Cup specifically as like the due diligence for the World Cup next year about what stuff they need to set up, which is perfectly fine. But if you're going to tell me that you're not taking this competition seriously, Like when it comes to letting organized supporters groups sit together, which FIFA is not allowing to happen. When it comes to the way that they're changing the tickets that people have bought so that the TV coverage looks better specifically. I don't think they've done that in Nashville yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do it. Or changing their policies where you can't take pictures of the security personnel specifically just because of all of the immigrant. Like it is wild to me how much FIFA has fumbled the bag of this tournament here in the United States, and I'm really hoping it's not the case when the World Cup does roll around.
Yeah, and I do think some of that's gonna kind of not be brushed aside, but will be less of a talking point once we get to the knockout stages. I think once we go to kind of the round of 16 and onwards, and you'll have the quarterfinal, and you have the best of the best in the world playing against each other. I think most fans will kind of focus on that. But right now, seeing little sides like Atletico Madrid and Auckland lose heavily.
I
Sorry,
mean,
that's
it's
me.
true. I mean, when you
But
get to see teams like Arsenal, like in the court. Oh wait, no, sorry, they're not a part of this competition. My bad. I apologize.
for the record, Chelsea will play on Monday. So by the time you're listening to this, the result has already happened, and Chelsea's playing LAFC, and I am just hoping and begging for an Olivier Giroud goal because that'd just be like nice to see. Like not even
I honestly,
like I don't even care. I just want to see it. You know what I mean? Like
I am begging. I would love an Olivier Giroud goal too. I'm not gonna lie, that would actually
like
make me
it'd be
extremely
nice.
happy.
It'd be a nice
But
story.
but also 6 goals on Tottenham's own Hugo Lloris from Chelsea would
Mm,
also be kind of
mm.
incredible.
He
So
he's liable for a goal or two, man. He's an interesting goalkeeper. I don't know why they paying him so much money. Anyway, I don't
yeah,
think we should keep talking about this.
but I think you're right, Valer. I think the amount of soccer that is currently going on, it, it's too much. Like there is just way too much. One of the things that happens during this time, though, that I always think about is when do players actually get the ability to like go on vacation or do anything specifically?
Oh boy,
Like it is
because you just opened the biggest can of worms ever. Have you heard of Christian Pulisic?
okay. Okay, I'm not. There's a different. I'm not doing this here with you right now, especially not because I know you don't actually care to do it. I know that you are just
No, no, no,
specifically
please. There are
exactly.
other
I
shows
know
and
that
other programs I've taken care of this. I don't want to deal with
I,
this.
I
Yeah.
know I know I know you well enough specifically where you're just like, oh yeah, I'm just throwing the poo out there to say and stir it. I didn't know the best way to make that analogy with uh, uh being responsible. But um yeah, it's a lot because I want to focus on Nashville too. Like Nashville coming off the international break and playing really good soccer. I know that's part of the reasoning why I'm not. But like Chelsea plays at 3. There's other Cup matches tonight. There's other Club World Cup matches tonight. Like it is wild how much there is.
Yeah, yeah. It's happened last summer too. I was hoping this summer would be a little different. Next summer is obviously the World Cup, so I think there's going to be some fatigue, and I'm already starting to feel it. Honestly, as much as I love this game, I've been watching it my whole life, literally my whole life. But I think there's just going to be some fatigue from these, and something has to lose out. Like I'm not going to watch a lot of the Gold Cup, and I'm not going to watch certain Club World Cup games just because I can't. It's impossible to keep up with all of those. And obviously, I cover Nashville SC, so I'm gonna always prioritize that. But at the end of the day, there are some storylines that I think will stick around. And like I said, maybe once the group stage is over, maybe then kind of makes it a little easier.
One of the storylines that is sticking around is Nashville SC. They are currently doing extremely well even after the international break. Still unbeaten in 11, so we do need to talk about their match against Chicago. And we're going to do that next, right here on Pharmaceutical Soccer. And we are back right here on Pharmaceutical Soccer at PharmaSoccer on our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Also, if you are going through the soccer fatigue, kind of like we talked about in the first segment, and just want some clear and concise ways to follow all of that soccer, you can do that easily on 615soccer.com. There is articles going down around the Club World Cup, around the Gold Cup, around the US Men's National Team, and then, of course, around your Nashville Soccer Club. So if you're looking to get all of that content, in one concise package instead of having to watch random matches that you don't want to, like Flamingo and S Tunis.
I'm excited for
Follow
that.
me
Just
too.
kidding. But
Follow
yes.
follow 615soccer.com. Even if you don't want to be, we would love to have you be a paid subscriber. Even if you don't want to, please make sure you're following along. But a lot of discussions going on. Please make sure you check that out, as well as pharmasoccer.com for all of your merch needs. Check that out as well. But
Yeah, and I do want to say, like, the if you listen to this episode or this show, sorry, and if you've been listening for a few weeks, maybe few months, few years, whatever it may be, and you really like this show and want to support this show specifically, 615soccer.com subscription will go towards that as well.
that
This
is correct.
show's support is directly tied to 615 Soccer's support. So it's not just supporting me or Ben or the people writing, it's also supporting this show here, like Steven and Clay and Omari and Joel. I got everybody in.
You're not lining just the pockets of Valera and Ben. You're also helping us out here. So please make sure you are checking. And that's why we did it, is because of the fact that you get to pay the same price for a lot more content,
Mhm.
just involved in what you do if you do want to support us. So again, thank you so much for everybody that does support us. We really do appreciate it. Thank you. Nashville, of course, going on the road, getting another win against Chicago this year. So that would be a 9-2 aggregate that we have on Chicago over the year. It just sounds so much better that when you say it like that. I don't know why. Of course, goals coming from our star duo in Hani Mukhtar and Sam Surridge. I mean, you can't ask for more specifically after an international break, right? It's always going to be kind of ugly. It's always going to be trying to figure it out, and that definitely did show in the first half for Nashville SC, where it was it was a little scary in that first half, to say the least.
Yeah, it didn't start well, and it's not only that it didn't start well. I think it kind of it looked uncharacteristic at times, where there were these sort of mistakes that aren't usual to Nashville SC. You know, Nashville SC are able to they're able to accept some risk. We've talked about this based on the way they play. The BJ Callahan style of you're going at it, you're trying to win the ball back. That opens you up to some risk. But those weren't the only problems happening in that first half. There were some fundamental issues happening in defense specifically. And thankfully for Nashville SC, Chicago weren't able to capitalize on those. But I think at the end of the day, what it looked like to me was just rustiness from 14 days of not playing and being sort of just back in. I wouldn't have said this if Nashville had lost, but Soldier Field is not a great place to play soccer, whether it's the pitch itself or the atmosphere. And I mean, Steven and I have experienced it ourselves, maybe not playing, but just being there. It was awful. It was one of the worst sporting experiences I've had, honestly, not even exaggerating.
I mean, that field, and I made this joke on Discord, and I thought it was really good, so I'm going to do it again. Where that field specifically looked like Fair Park after a rainy tailgate. Like you saw the field, like you saw there was like passes from Palacios to Jack Mayer, where the ball was just bouncing, and you don't know specifically what direction the ball is going to
Yeah,
go. So Nashville wasn't necessarily able to play and settle down like they normally would at a spot like Geodis Park, or hell, even a turf field specifically, where you know what kind of ball specifically, like the bounces the ball is going to make. So you could kind of see some of that lead into just some of the defensive shape. Obviously, I think that one breakaway by Jonathan Bamba would be like the
yeah,
big one,
yeah.
where you could definitely see some communication problems. That I mean, Palacios right after that instance turned right to Andy Nahar, sorry, Josh Bauer, and was just like, "Where were you? What was kind of going on?" Uh, Luckily, I mean, do you think if Chicago would have capitalized on any of those chances, do you think the game would have went a little bit differently?
Yeah, I really think if Chicago got a goal in that first half, I don't know if Nashville can turn it back around and win. I don't think they would have lost just because of how well they did in the second half. It's just a little harder when the team is bunkered and you're trying to break them. It's always hard to do that. Versus Chicago playing a little bit more openly in the second half, they still kept going with it, which allowed Nashville a lot of opportunities, really, to both score the goals and kill the game afterwards. But I mean, I think this is kind of a hallmark of a good team, which we keep adding sort of these taglines, I guess, to what a good team is. But Nashville are collecting these like is it gemstones? No, like stones, like Infinity Stones, like
I was
Infinity Stones.
I
There
was
you
gonna
go.
say, if anybody's the
Yeah.
biggest Marvel nerd, it's you. Why the heck would it be?
But it's been a minute. I've been out of the Marvel game, so I need to get back in. And I also don't read comics, so like I don't see it written. But I just watch the movies like a sellout that I am to the Disney Corporation. All that said, Nashville are collecting these sort of titles that allow them to be a good team. Of what is a good team? A good team goes and doesn't play a good game, but still gets 3 points away in Chicago. That's really one of the bigger ones for Nashville SC to get. And if they did that in Philadelphia as well, they weren't the best team in Philly, but they went and got a win. And those are two places that teams. Well, Chicago, I guess this season has been gifting wins at home. But overall, those are Chicago's right there, neck and neck with Nashville SC in terms of standings. I mean, this game ensures there's a little bit of more separation, but Chicago isn't that far off of Nashville SC. So being able to go to them and get a win is a really good result. And I don't think many people will be complaining because I don't think many people are going to remember this game because it's in the middle of two very long breaks, and I
Well,
think
yeah,
he's gonna move on from it.
exactly. I think it's a game you get the dub and you get the win, and you're happy about that. And there's nothing that necessarily is like terrible from our end that I think you need to fix. Again, I think in the second half there was a little bit more understanding just how the game was going to be played, and I mean I think that's why we got 2 goals in that second half. Couple of necessary subs that BJ Callahan was absolutely able to make the adjustments for. I have a feeling those subs were probably planned, at the beginning of the game. I mean, especially Andy Nahar, who was playing, international soccer not too short before then, probably needed just a little bit of a rest. Um, One player, though, I would like to discuss a little bit, just because it's so hot and cold with me, would be Ahmed Kasim. And I want your thoughts first because I have a theory when it comes to Ahmed Kasim.
Yeah, I think he clearly didn't have a good game in Chicago. Like I don't think he would disagree with that. I think he was frustrated and he seemed frustrated at times. And he had even with that, he had a couple of moments where he goes past one or two players and it looks really nice and it looks really good, but then there's nothing following that up. And I think again, I don't think I'm saying anything here that was like kind of not, unknown, but I think a lot of Nashville fans are growing a little frustrated with him, but that's kind of the role of a winger. A winger goes at a defender 8 to 12 times a game. Let's just say maybe half of those are successful, if not less. But when it's successful, it kind of it works out. Now with Cosm specifically, I think what kind of I don't want to say hurt his reputation, but what kind of made it hard is that he set himself a really high standard when he first got here. He was living out of a hotel and like scoring and assisting. You know what I mean? Like he had just gotten here and he was able to produce goals and assists and be a valuable member of this attack. So it's really normal for a player of his age to come into a new country, a new league, and have ebbs and flows in his form. I just don't think he's the final product yet. I think he's very raw, and I think that talent is very raw. I also think he's being asked to do a lot of defensive and grunt work that I don't think he was doing in the Swedish league. And I think there's a learning curve that he's going through. Is the same learning curve that Schaffelberg has been going through of that repress of how to be more active when you lose the ball. But the biggest thing I think that's really tripping people up here is his demeanor and the
Yeah.
way he reacts to things. He's a calm presence on the field no matter what is happening. And I think people see that and say he's not putting enough effort. And I don't think that's true as well. If anybody watched Mesut Ozil for Arsenal or Real Madrid, similar demeanor in terms of, not similar player, similar demeanor in terms of like, they don't look like they're putting in a lot of effort, but they are putting in a lot of effort. It's just how they handle themselves and how they are on the pitch. And I think that's something that's kind of gone against them a little bit, because people see that and just assume that he's just not putting 100% in.
Is anybody going to get mad at Lionel Messi for walking around the pitch? No, because he uses that specifically. But like, I hate that narrative. He's just a very, you could tell he's very stoic in the face. Like he's just a very calm and collected, I mean, kid. He's a very calm and collected kid that's just trying to figure himself out in this league specifically. And I don't honestly, here's my theory. I don't think it has anything to do with Kasim as a player. I think specifically as a player, he's been perfectly fine. And Valaire brought it up. He had a couple moves specifically that he, even during that match where you're like, okay, he's still like he's got it. Remember like a few years ago where we had this conversation between how Randall Leal and Hani Mukhtar kind of fit on the same field in the same pitch because they're very similar. They're very similar controlling presences in a match. I
Mhm.
think there's something kind of going along with that in terms of him just trying to figure out his placement when some of the bigger DPs and players are on the field. Where there's times during the Chicago match where I thought those two were going to run into each other because they were either making the same runs or like occupying the same space instead of one of them coming back and the other one moving forward. Which then you saw when Jonathan Perez come on, it was perfectly fine. Like there was no kind of issuances of that space. But then you have matches like Orlando City in the Open Cup, where Kasim had his best match, probably as a Nashville player. He scored on the left, did opportunity like was assisting opportunities from the right, had a lot more free flowing, just understanding of what his role was. And I think that's currently what is going on with with Ahmed Kasim is because his first instinct is always going to be to go back to his left foot. That's what he does. He loves his left foot. Guess who's there every single time he goes on his left foot? Hani Mukhtar. There's multiple times where he would do that cut back to go on his left foot, where Hani would be making the run to the right, where the defender knew exactly what was going on every single time. So I don't necessarily know if it is a player thing. I think it's more of a positional he'll figure it out at some point thing. And I could be wrong in
No,
overlooking
no,
all of it.
I think you're spot on. I think it's figuring out not just the position, but BJ Callahan's system, and that's kind of what I was talking about in terms of like when you lose the ball, how do you react to it? Because
Yeah,
that BJ Callahan wants players to have that as a second nature to them, to where they lose the ball, they're trying to give it back, and they're making the right decision every time, and that takes a while. There's a reason players didn't make it from last season to this season, and that's because it wasn't taking what he was teaching them,
right.
things didn't work out necessarily. So then, when you look at somebody who is 21 years old, it's much easier to teach 21 years old Ahmed Qasim your system than it is to teach a 28 or 27-year old Anunga. And not to pick on Anunga, but like it's just easier to teach younger players because they're going to grow with you and develop with you as you go. So the Gauss theorem, for anybody who listens to MLS podcasts out there, it's David Gauss. He always says the second year in MLS, it's going to be better than the first year. And that's when a player really hits that mark. I really think next year we'll see a lot better results from Ahmed Qasim. And by the way, just looking at the goal scoring ratio from his Elfsberg days, he had 11 goals in 90 matches. From his team before that, he had 5 goals from 31 matches. He has 3 goals already from 19. The ratio is about the same, and maybe that'll go up as he develops a little bit and grows up a little bit. But his his goal contribution, I'm saying, hasn't taken a hit,
Yep.
even though maybe on the pitch he's not having his best games.
Yeah, and I mean, exactly. And I think you're right. It's the first year figuring out this system where he's being expected a lot, especially with players, like why can't I think of his name? Not even Schaffenberg. Who's the other guy that's normally on the
Johnny
right?
Perez.
No, Schaffelberg just kind of not even necessary. I mean, international duty. He's being put in a big position. So I think he'll be fine. I think everybody just take a second, and also it's okay to be cool, calm, and collective on the pitch, no
Yeah.
matter what. Speaking of cool, calm, and collective, Sam Surridge and Hani Mukhtar continue to absolutely put up gangbusters of numbers for being, I mean, probably one of the best duos in MLS right now. Both getting on the board with a goal. I mean, it is here we are, man. Like it's really good to see, especially Sam Surridge doing something I haven't seen him do since he's been here in Nashville, which is absolutely, I mean, it was against Omar Gonzalez, but still putting him on skates.
Yeah, I think Clay said it a few weeks ago of like this is the best duo in terms of Nashville SC attackers, and I totally agree with it. I mean, the only thing that comes even close to that is the CJ Sapong and Mukhtar combo, but this has already blown that out of the water. I think just based on not even numbers, just the way they play with each other. So yeah, it's good to see DPs kind of contributing to this level. I feel like we talk about both of them a lot, so I think that's enough. It's kind of doing them a disservice, maybe, of just kind of being like, well, that's kind of what we expect, right? And it's like you get paid a lot and you score goals, and good for you. So that is doing them a disservice a little bit, but at the same time, like we can't come to this show every week and say the same thing over and over. But they are in fine form, and if they continue this, I mean, they're both looking at like best 11, all star level spots within MLS.
One player we do not get to talk a lot about normally, but he absolutely did fantastic on Saturday was Joe Willis. Uh, and I think Joe Willis kind of gets the Ahmed Kasim like kind of situation sometimes where he's very cool, calm, and collected back there in net. He's not making a ton of crazy diving saves specifically. He had one on set, but I think his positioning is what really scared a lot of what Chicago was doing, where he was right on the ball the entire time. And I think he had 8 saves during the match specifically. He doesn't get called in a lot, but Joe Wills did exactly what he needed to do on Saturday.
Yeah, I think he continues to be underestimated, honestly. And for the last 3 seasons, I feel like we've come on this show and all of Nashville's media and been like, "Is it time to find a replacement for Joe Willis?" And we've asked that question 3 seasons, and for 3 seasons, we've been proven that no, it's not time to replace Joe Willis because Joe Willis still performs really, really well. He's one of the best goalkeepers in MLS. He's probably never going to be the best goalkeeper in MLS, but for with Nashville, what they're trying to do, he does really well, and he's been able to adapt to this system way better than I anticipated, honestly, in terms of playing with his feet. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about his shot stopping, which was great against Chicago. The way he handles going up and out during corners and set pieces, I think has been really good. And again, shot stopping wise, he's good. I think my biggest worry about him was playing with his feet, which he's had a couple of mishaps here and there, but they haven't resulted in a goal yet. So, I think this season at least. But I think that is something that he's actually improving on, even though he is a little older compared to other players. But keep in mind, he's a goalkeeper, and goalkeepers often go way longer in their careers than players. I mean, Brad Guzan's still playing at 40, so like it's gonna be okay. Joel is only 36 at this point, so I think he still has the remainder of this season, and he probably has another season or two in him at the top level to perform for Nashville SC. So, yeah, 7 saves is what I'm seeing here, but maybe it's 8 in different stat category because these things kind of change. But yeah, incredible game for him. I think Apple TV gave him man of the match. I'm looking at
I
FODMOB
think that
right now. They have him as man of the match.
I think the
Yeah,
Nashville Heineken vote was man of the match as well.
yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? He kept a clean sheet. This is fifth one, I think, this season. So, yeah, really good.
I mean, and a 40-year-old in Atlanta and Brad Guzan is the only highlight they can look forward to this entire season so far. He's been wild. But I think one player again that we need to continue to talk about. I think he's I didn't expect him to be on the same level of us talking about him as Sam Surridge and Hani Mukhtar. That'd be Andy Nahar. Again, contributing. Did he contribute to both goals or
He
just the
assisted
first
both
one?
goals.
He assisted
He
both
was the
goals.
primary assister on both. Yeah,
Primary assistant on both goals. Obviously changed the match with him coming in. Um, is he player of the season for Nashville SC right now?
he's player of the season for me. In my heart. But look, I was so excited when Nashville SC signed Andy Nahar because I knew I was gonna watch somebody who I enjoy watching, who plays soccer really nicely. Whether it's for Nashville SC or another team or wherever he's playing, he's always played really well. And I came on this show and I said, this is an improvement and this is an upgrade on Shaq Moore. And I don't think a lot of people agreed with me at the time because they hadn't been going to the Church of Nahar and they haven't been understanding the power and the beautifulness of it all. Because what he does is not just assists, and it's not just the goals. To me, is the way he carries himself on the field and the way that he is a menace, an absolute menace to any left back in front of him. I mean, doubling up of Nahar, Perez, and Hani on the right side when Chicago were like pushing really hard, it just it was too much. And then even just Nahar and Hani, and sometimes Dax has joins in too. Like that little corner right there, that little right side corner has been very important to Nashville SC, and a lot of that has to do with how Nahar plays. This is not a knock on Josh Bauer or anything like that. Josh Bauer has a very specific set of skills, and he does them really well, and he's covered really well, and he's scored goals this season. So he's having a good season by all measures. But man, Nahar makes that right back position a lot more dangerous than any player I've seen play for this team in the history of this club, which I know is not a lot, but he's one of those few right backs that is pretty much a winger. And can still track back, and maybe that's kind of the one knock on him is maybe defensively he's not as solid, but with what he gives you in attack, I think you take that every day of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know what to expect with Andy. You brought up, can you imagine Shaq Moore in this role right now? Like, I'm sorry, like when like I don't think Shaq Moore is a bad player per se, but it makes so much more sense now of having Andy Nahar specifically in this role than it would have Shaq Moore in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and I think Shaq Moore is a two-way, more so of a two-way player, more so of a traditional right back. I think even like kind of just going out wide and putting a cross in. I think he's capable of doing that, even though he didn't do it much for Nashville SC. But he's capable of doing that. And just Nahar has a different skill set of going through and maybe being a little bit more shifting to the middle, and maybe that again gives him a little bit of a disadvantage going back. But look, Nashville SC get a clean sheet in Chicago at the end of the day, and they get the 3 points, and they're third in the East, which is crazy. I don't think anybody expected them to be here. I certainly did not expecting them to be here. But hey, still a lot to go in the season, so we'll see where it goes.
I Yeah, I am with you. Sorry, I just realized that I spent the past first segment and even this segment thinking that like we're back from international break, not realizing
There's 10 more days to the next game.
this is stupid. This is
Yeah,
the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
yeah.
I was like, heck yeah, we get to continue on with this route, and I was ready to segue that we could, but we don't. We just have another 10 days before we get to come back.
And for those going to the Club World Cup games here in town, the Nashville SC game is sandwiched by the two World Cup games. So like it would be Tuesday Club World Cup, Wednesday Nashville SC, Thursday Club World Cup. So pretty busy week I think coming up.
And we're going to talk about all of that next, right here on Pharmaceutical Soccer. And we are back right here on Pharmaceutical Soccer, of course, at PharmaSoccer on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Of course, 615soccer.com. Make sure you check that out, as well as pharmasoccer.com for all of your pharmaceutical soccer merchandise. There's some cool stuff there. I wish I had some of it, but make sure to. Oh, I can do that this weekend when I'm in town for the Club World Cup. I can go. Wait, is Clay back? I don't know when Clay's back. But
I don't
anywho,
know. Yeah.
Pharmasoccer. Hopefully he's back this weekend. Pharmasoccer.com. As I mentioned a little bit at the end of the last segment, we have like 10 days or so with MLS on breaks. They just decided to do one match inside this little window of international break in Club World Cup and Gold Cup and all that stuff. But there's a lot of soccer to keep an eye on, as we mentioned. So let's talk about specifically. Let's talk about our international players for Nashville SC that were kind of in play. We had three specifically in Xavier Valdez, Walker Zimmerman, and Jacob Schaffelberg. So, Valer, do you want to do a rundown?
Yeah, Valdez ended up starting against Mexico in the opening game of the Club World, jeez, of the Gold Cup. um, Mexico is not in the Club World Cup, believe it or not. Mexican teams are. Yeah, so Valdez started for the Dominican Republic against Mexico. Um, in a heroic result, really. Mexico ended up winning 3-2, which I know the Dominican lost, but considering the Dominican Republic is 139 ranked in the world and Mexico is 17th, this is actually a really, really good result,
Oh,
all
yeah,
things considered.
it wasn't it. I mean, like, and Xavier Valdez actually played extremely well too. He had a couple of major saves. I mean, Mexico had 9 shots on target. To say that he had a really good game, I mean, he did. Wasn't it like the Dominicans' first goal in Gold Cup history? Like the entire history of the Gold Cup. I think it was their first goal ever that they scored.
I believe it. I don't know, but like I believe you when you say that because it makes sense. This is not a team. This is not a country that has paid a whole lot of attention to soccer until very recently. Nashville SC actually last year played Mocha FC in the Champions Cup. Steve and I ended up going to the Dominican, had a good time there, and they're trying to pay more attention to soccer. They're trying to bring it make it more well rounded in their country, but overall, Valdez, good performance. He's probably expected to start the next 2 games as well in the group stage at least. And if by some maybe not miracle, but it will require a lot for the Dominican Republic to make it out of their group. They have Costa Rica and Suriname coming up, so it's hard probably to get a result out of Costa Rica, but maybe they can get a positive result out of Suriname and move forward. And at least not move forward out of the group, but at least have something to show for. Other than Valdez, Zimmerman is the other one. Obviously, Walker Zimmerman was not involved in the U.S.'s 5-0 win against Trinidad and Tobago. He was on the bench and remained on the bench throughout the whole thing. And when I asked Pochettino about him before the U.S. match against Switzerland, he said that he has a lot of leadership qualities and kind of leaned in towards that. And he said he does help on the pitch, but he kind of kept talking about his leadership qualities. And I wouldn't be surprised if, he's not used that much in this Gold Cup, but, remains to be an important part in terms of what he offers off the pitch. But also, if you need a defender to come in the last 10 minutes to close out a game, I think that's kind of more so of his role or what his role is going to be in this Gold Cup. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. And then the last one is Jacob Schaffelberg. I think he's going to continue to play an important role for the Canadian national team. They haven't played their game as of recording. They do play on Tuesday. So maybe they've played by the time you're listening to this. Maybe they'll play tonight for you if you're listening to this the day it comes out. But I think Schaffelberg has been a very important part for the Canadian national team. Jesse Marsch seems to like him, start him, and rely on him. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was starting or at least playing very important minutes for the Canadians as they take on Honduras, but without Andy Nahar. So those are the 3 players involved in the Gold Cup.
That is fantastic, Valera. Thank you so much for playing. Did I spend the past 2 minutes going through the Dominican lineup to see specifically if any of them played for Mocha FC? Yes, absolutely. I
How
did.
many?
Current, hold on. I got 2 more to figure out specifically, and then I want you to take a guess on how many did play for Mocha. Okay, how many have played for Mocha?
5.
No,
Wait. Are you saying in the lineup or in the squad?
in the lineup.
Oh,
No,
like
in
the
the
starting.
no, in the entire squad. Entire squad.
Okay, so it's not 5, and your face tells me it's less. Three.
The answer is zero. Zero of them
Oh
played for
no,
Mocha.
Mocha, our
Zero of them
friend.
played for Mocha. I I mean, this is just for random clicks, like in like they historically they could be played for, but also where some of these people play is what like I saw one that plays for like the Bulgarian First League, Azerbaijan First League, like play for
A
first
lot of a
leagues.
lot of the CONCACAF nations also have players in the lower divisions of the U.S. pyramid, right? So that you'll see like
Oh
USL
yeah,
League One or USL Championship players. You'll see MLS Next Pro players like Valdez, who I know is signed for Nashville SC, but plays a lot of his minutes in Huntsville. Um, so it's a little intriguing, honestly, to see those guys go against, especially when they do well, like the Dominican did against Mexico. Haiti played a really, really good games against Saudi Arabia on Sunday, but unfortunately they end up losing 1-0 due to a penalty they conceded. So like there's some value in these games. I know they're kind of supposed to be like boring, but if you're just sitting there, turn them on because
is
there's
it?
always something going on.
I know there's a specific reason. Is there a reason that Saudi Arabia is in the Gold Cup?
It's just like well, this one specifically is because they sponsored most of CONCACAF and got a lot of money, and they want to prepare for their their World Cup qualifiers and stuff like that. But there's always a guest team. Copa America does that as well. Japan, US
They
have
had
been
Qatar. They had Qatar the
Qatar
year
last season for CONCACAF. Qatar also in the Copa America. So it's not a. I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but also at the same time, if you're looking for good quality opponents to bring in, it makes sense.
Yet CONCACAF won't let Greenland into the federation. It's anyways. Soccer is fine. It's here. It's good to go. We can't predict Nashville SC this weekend because of the fact that we don't have a match that Nashville SC specifically is playing. But while we're talking about the Gold Cup and while we're talking about the Club World Cup, um, let's predict some winners from that specifically as we kind of sign out this episode. I'll be in town for the Friday match for the Club World Cup, so if you are there as well, come and say hi. Would love to uh, say hi to you. Yeah, I would love to do that. So if you are there, please come say hi. But let's do some predictions for the Gold Cup and Club World Cup winners. Who do you have? And let's close out this episode.
Yeah. First of all, follow me at Valer Shabilla on all social media. Well, Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram specifically. So make sure you're following me and make sure you're following 615 Soccer wherever you get your social media stuff. Um, I have a lot going on in terms of the everything that's we've been talking about. So please follow along. We appreciate all your follows and subscriptions. Um, for the Gold Cup, I have predicted Mexico will win, and I'll stick with my prediction. And then I just think they take it really seriously, and I think they care about it a lot more than the other top teams do. Canada is a good shout, but I don't know if they're going to be able to kind of keep up with Mexico, honestly. And the U.S. is I don't know. I don't know where the U.S. is. So my prediction is Mexico, and for the Club World Cup, I will go with Paris Saint Germain. I don't know. That's a terrible accent. PSG.
Were you trying for a French accent there?
I think they say Paris, not Paris. You know, so it's like Paris Saint Germain. That's what I'm going with. But that's my pick because they are honestly, from a neutral perspective, the best team I've seen this season play. It's just really, really good soccer.
How do you sell Kylian Mbappe and get better? Like, it is wild to me
Yeah.
that and like like I like Luis Enrique, but he's not like the most amazing man. But like the
He
way that
is
he
though.
has this,
He's really good. If you look at his record, I mean, he got kind of he got the short end in Spain, but he did win the Europe. We don't have to go into this UEFA Nations League. You know, the most important thing ever. But also he had a good record beforehand too. So I don't know. I think he's a good manager. But I think most importantly is that those players want to play for him more
I
so
don't
than
know if you
anything.
I know this is like kind of off topic, but it's fine. It's the end of the episode. There is a TikTok of a guy who like goes through like each league and kind of explains like each league's random rules and stuff like that. Have you seen this guy's TikTok
Yeah, yeah,
before?
yeah. I've seen.
He's like a
Yeah,
he's like a British guy that's just like, well, the Nations League, is it a friendly? Well, yes and no. Like it's
yeah, yeah.
so funny. But anyways, for me, look, if a competition is specifically made for you to win, you should probably win it. So I think the Gold Cup, the U.S. men's national team is going to win it. It, I mean, it doesn't matter if they do or don't. In all honesty, like they should win it. Mexico's not in the most terrific spot right now. Some of the other teams are doing better. But the U.S. should still win this hand in hand, especially coming into where they should be. So even with the players they have, they should still win this tournament. So I'm going to go with the U.S. And then, of course, winning the Club World Cup, getting 2 trophies, while Arsenal has 0 for their season specifically. That would be 1 Chelsea Football Club, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to lose our first game to LAFC and then end up winning the tournament.
If Chelsea wins the Club World Cup, I will wear a wig to 3 recordings of this podcast. However, if Chelsea does
No,
not win the Club
nope,
World Cup, you have
nope,
to buzz your hair.
absolutely not. No.
Okay, okay. But hold
One,
on, how about this? If PSG wins the Club World Cup, you have to buzz your hair.
no. The
Come on.
the team that's expected to win it, you want me to buzz my hair for?
They're not
One,
expected to win it.
look at this. God is doing it. God is buzzing my hair for me already. You don't need to do anyway. You don't need to make it worse. But no, like you could have been like if Al Hali wins it, Al Ali, like I'll shave my head then, sure.
But I'm putting a wig on.
You're putting a wig on.
Yeah, that's a lot. For a bald guy, that's my whole thing.
You literally thank you so much for listening to the show. We really do appreciate you being here with me and Valaire. I think it'll be all 3 of us next week. So excited for that. I'm sure we'll have a lot of soccer to talk about as we've discussed. If you do see me or Valaire at the Club World Cup game on Friday, please make sure you come and say hi. But yeah, please tune in next week as well, as we have more Gold Cup and Club World Cup and what else do we have? Other soccer to talk about. So please make sure you come check that out. Thank you so much for listening and hope you have a great rest of your week.